All right, so welcome everyone. Hope everyone is having a nice day. I'll be coaching the Flood. Is that how you say your name?
Yes.
The Flood on Orphea. Today he's sending a replay for Dragonshire. I think this game was fairly recent. Do you remember anything about it? Do you have any comments about it?
Yeah, I kind of remember most of it. I remember the draft. I remember actually reviewing some of the players before going into the match.
Reviewing the players? Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You know
So,
you know some of the players in this lobby?
I was simply talking about just seeing who plays what best prior to the match.
Draft
I've
lobby.
been looking at their profiles and stuff like that. So.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the Stitches and the Lieutenant Morales were a little concerning because I just thought that, maybe they either were Smurfs or they were just low-level accounts. Because the Stitches was like a total player level of 69, and the Lieutenant Morales was a total player level of like 120. They may have been familiar with MOBAs before, however, later in the match, I started realizing that they started underperforming a little bit more than some of the other guys, and they started the other guys started to get a little demoralized over time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Beyond that, is there anything in particular you want to focus on today? Because do you want to focus on global map mechanics, on macro, on decision making, on what to do on the map? Or do you want to focus more on what to do specifically as Orphea, how to land skill shots, how to approach team fights, etc.? Because these are really different skills. I can go over everything, but it's nice to have a focus.
Yeah, so I do mainly want to focus on trying to be the best Orphea I could be.
Mm-hmm.
However, I could definitely use a lot more practice and guidance as far as making sure. How do I say this? Just making sure that I am keeping an eye out on the map, making sure that I'm taking advantage of decision making. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wait, give me just a second. All right. So first of all, looking at the score screen, looking at the game, 27 takedowns to 13. So your team died a lot. You were underleveled at the end. If we actually look at the timeline, we can see that your team was actually ahead in the start of the game, quite significantly so. You got level 6 one day at level 5, got level 7 one day at level 6. But probably you had difficulty actually translating that into a lead because if we look a little bit later, when you hit level 9, you had 2 deaths, actually 3 deaths. They got level 9 off of that, and you hit level 10 slightly later than them because of that. Actually, still slightly earlier for them, but around the same time. But there are no structures being taken here at all. I don't see that the Dragon Knight was capped. It was capped by the enemy team first. And this is everything that Stats of a Storm is really nice for and can tell you. You can see how much minion XP was being soaked. Your team was soaking a lot towards the end, but around 9 minutes. There was a full minute where your team did not get a single minion on the map. Which, if you're behind, which you were at that point, is not good. And yeah. Beyond that, you seem to be doing quite well. You had a lot of soak in comparison to the rest of the team. Of course, that can be towards the end of the game. And looking at your talents, have you seen my Orphea video?
Yes, so I actually did this build prior to viewing your Orphea video.
Mm-hmm.
Greg showed it to me. So a funny story is I got really frustrated one day, and I was like, well, I follow Not Paradox, and I was in the BS tournament, these guys were helpful during then. I'm gonna go ahead and reach out. So I reached out, and they were like, okay. The bunch of help came through. So shout out to the Not Paradox Discord channel.
I remember helping to host a bronze silver tournament.
Yeah, I remember you there as well. And so and so I actually was shown your video from Gref. I watched it like 90% through. You did a lot of gameplay coverage, and that's where I didn't watch a whole 100% all the way through. I do believe your first one was Tomb of the Spider Queen.
I went over 2 games, one which was competitive and one which I believe was Storm League. It was a while ago. But yeah, you got the entire theory crafting session, you know, the presentation at the start.
Yes.
Okay, very nice. So why did you pick these talents?
So these talents in particular, I always pick level 1 talent 3, the one that it allows you to do more ability damage to slowed or disabled targets. You as Orphea are always looking out to, put out as much damage as possible. And in order to take advantage of that, this talent is the one to take. I mean, this is part of the reason why I do so much damage in the first place, or do decent wave clear. I'll throw out an E, pop the Q, and then pop the W on the entire wave and clear the wave in about a second. I mean, it's crazy how much wave clear this character has. Level 2, sometimes I will go the Shadow Waltz talent 1. But this one I decided to take because I figured I was just going to get a lot of chaos anyways, because I went Chomp talent at 13 with chaos. And so the next talent here at the level 7, this is my favorite talent to take, just because if I'm doing any kind of soak, if I'm doing any kind of wave clear, I'm finishing off about 8 minions in one chomp. So that gets me chomp kills, as well as I'm always keeping an eye out to see if I can take advantage of a chomp kill on the enemy team. And that supplies, I think, like 20 stacks, which is something ridiculous like that. So I went Crushing Jaws. Now, the reason why I went Crushing Jaws is because of the Not Paradox 100-0 video. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it. But the burst potential coming from Crushing Jaws, as well as the fact that I'd be chomping a disabled target, that just means my damage just shoots up through the roof, number 1, and number 2, I have a locked target. That's why I took Crushing Jaws versus Eternal Feast. I haven't been able to land a decent Eternal Feast at all, even after watching your video, MindHawk. So maybe we'll have to talk about landing a better Eternal Feast, maybe decisions on where to land them, or where to deny an area. And then, so yeah, I talked about the 13 talent here, that I went the W talent because of the shield that it gives, as well as, what is it, a shield? Anyways, so yeah, it just allows me to get more chaos with Chomp. I'm always trying to get in with a Chomp. And then, so 16, I took Dead Magic, basic attacks. So anyways, I'm just essentially looking to add more value to my basic attacks. I took the level 4 talent, I took the level 16 talent. I'm essentially just trying to get my damage up on everything possible. And then level 20, I took the Chaos talent as well. So that was the Consume to grant spell power.
Now, I would like to talk a little bit about the talents, and that is mainly the level 4, 7, and specifically the 13 in this build. So the main concern I have with this level 1 is if we actually look at their team, because that is the main thing you should be looking at when you're looking at your talents, right? well, both your team and their team, but especially if we're looking at their team, they have a quite burst-heavy comp. Greymane will one-shot you with Cursed Bullet, Brightwing will polymorph you, cause you to take a lot of damage, Muradin can Haymaker you in, he did take Haymaker. Now, of course, you didn't know that at the start of the game, probably. Varian did not take Taunt, but he can still do a load of burst damage on you, and Falsa can also burst you for a lot with the Frequent Flyer, Secret Weapon, Auto Attack build. And Orphea is quite a squishy character. And there is a level 4 that really helps against this one-shot problem that the enemy team is providing, right? Especially if you're going to be dying during a polymorph, for example, 15% extra health will help you a lot, so I'm talking about Backbiter. And the benefit of Chaotic Assault only becomes apparent at level 13, where you have a reliable way to get free chaos, because E's, Q's, and W's without the level 13 are not a reliable way to get to free chaos. You want to be weaving in auto attacks every single ability rotation, which means that if you are waiting with your auto attacks, you're effectively reducing the amount that you heal, because even if you get 3 stacks of chaos, that is 75% of a normal auto attack, but doing 2 auto attacks in the first place is 100% extra, which is better. And if you had any chaos overflow, that is also stronger. Ideally, you want to consume your chaos as fast as possible to make use of the 100% base, because every stack is quote-unquote only 50%, and you heal for all of the damage that you deal. Second of all, I want to talk a little bit about Ravenous Hunger. Now, the main benefit of this talent is the sustain. The damage aspect of this talent, if you actually do the math, is completely ignorable. It is super weak damage-wise. If you get even, say, 100 stacks during the game, that is only 200 bonus damage. And 200 bonus damage, that does not scale with your level. Chomp does at level 13, it does like 800, 700 damage. 200 on top of that is nice, but it's not actually that good, especially because it does not scale with level. I have also watched the 100 to 0 video with Crushing Jaws, but I would like to bring to your attention that Crushing Jaws is mainly, if you want it, it is for the displacement, not the damage, because Crushing Jaws has a less area than Eternal Feast, and you don't have to think about Eternal Feast as, you know, the over and over hitting. Even if it hits only once, it does as much damage as Crushing Jaws, basically, but it has a shorter cooldown, it has a longer range, and it is easier to land. So unless you are actively using the pull as a setup, that is why I don't like Crushing Jaws that much. Now,
also, you can use it to chase, and you can't use Crushing Jaws to chase.
Yes, but next up, Abyssal Symbiosis. Abyssal Symbiosis has a very simple game plan. You go up to enemies, you chomp them, you auto-attack them, you get tons of health back from both your level 4 and this shield, and then you do it over and over and over and over again. But the problem is that without the level 7 cooldown reduction, Chomp has a 10-second cooldown, and you do not actually get enough Abyssal Symbiosis value, because even if you hit 3 people, that would have given you free chaos normally, so you only get the shield. So the value of Abyssal Symbiosis lies in the ability to constantly be chomping someone over and over, getting that health, getting that shield, and trading into them super efficiently. But picking Ravenous Hunger and Abyssal Symbiosis together is not a thing because of that. If you are going either the E level 7 or the Ravenous Hunger, I would really recommend you on level 13 to always pick Invasive Miasma, which has also a 10-second cooldown, but gives you actual healing and gives you an additional source of damage and chaos. It is basically like a second Chomp in that regard.
Can I go ahead and ask one question here?
Of course.
So my problem with taking Miasma is, and I was gonna show you some later gameplay. However, after watching your video, I started taking Miasma, and the problem is I can't execute the miasma within people in range of me. People just walk out.
Mm-hmm. So the way you use miasma is actually the exact same way as you use chomp, right? If you want to use chomp, you're going to Q, you're going to dash at someone, and then you're going to chomp, right? So the order of execution is miasma, then Q, then dash in, and your miasma will be hitting at the same time as your chomp, basically.
Okay. So
That is the basic
combo
idea.
is DQW.
Yes. Additionally, about Ancestral Strength, I don't believe the value of Ancestral Strength is actually in the 15% bonus damage. It is nice, and it does hit wave clear breakpoints, which I'll be talking about a little bit more in just a bit. But it's actually that your auto attack's slow, and because your auto attack's slow, you can keep hitting your abilities without missing them. Because the 20% slow is enough to make it almost impossible for enemies to dodge your abilities. And the last thing I want to mention is that you mentioned the auto attack playstyle, right, with the Chaotic Assault and the Dead Magic. But keep in mind, these two talents don't care about each other. You can pick them independently, and you can pick them together, and there is no synergy between them whatsoever. Yes, it is nice that your auto attacks deal more damage, and the the armor ignore can make the Chaotic Assault heal you more, but a majority of the time you will be using Dead Magic just for the 90 bonus damage. Especially if we're looking at a team like theirs, where the only source of armor is Muradin E and Brightwing E. And I think that is mainly everything I want to talk about talents with. The rest of the summary, I think I've already talked a little bit about it. Draft order seems totally fine. I think Orphea is okay to pick early. They did not do a great job of counter-picking you. However, keep in mind that picking Orphea into Brightwing, Brightwing is an Orphea counter and can make your life really hard.
Polymorph. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For 3 reasons, actually. If you're dueling with someone, Brightwing can come in and turn the duel around. Brightwing can polymorph you in teamfights, leaving you a sitting duck because your abilities got interrupted. And because she can spell armor whoever you are trying to burst down and make them live through your burst. And there was one more thing that you mentioned that I actually want to show off real quick. So let me swap to in-game, and we'll be going into the replay in just a second. So if we go to Orphea, you mentioned wave clearing with EQW.
Yep.
Now, at in try mode, the minions are ever so slightly have ever so slightly more health, so I will be bumping us up to level 3. But you don't need the Q. Orphea, if you put her E so that it hits all 7 minions, you can just EW. And actually hit your W on the backline minions.
Yes, Hawky.
So, if you EW, the wave does not have to hit the backline minions, only the explosion does, and you do have to wait for the explosion to actually hit the backline minions. That is enough to clear the wave with 1 auto attack on all of the minions, which is much safer than using your Q. Because keep in mind, whenever you use your Q on minions, on structures, on mercenaries, you are a sitting duck. If you do not have your Q, Orphea is a very vulnerable hero. She has a very low health pool, she doesn't have a way out without her Q. And in fact, if you miss your Q in a team fight, you should be very respectful of the fact that you are very vulnerable, and you should be playing a lot safer because of that. So that's just what I wanted to highlight. If you look in voice chat, you can see the comparison between Ravenous Hunger and Insatiable damage-wise. So let's go into the replay. sure I am recording OBS still. Yep. So, big question, are you playing with camera lock? Yes.
All right, you'll do. This reminds me of my stay in
So, the first thing that should be on your mind when you go into the game. What on the enemy team threatens you? How do you have to approach fights? What on the enemy team shuts you down? If you look at their team right now, what do you see?
As far as what can harm me, or just everything that I see.
What do you need to keep in mind during team fights? What will be threatening you? What will you need to watch out for?
So the main thing that I am focusing on is CC and the polymorph. So with that said, I'm trying to stay out of range of the Brightwing, as well as look out for Stormbolt from the Muradin. And then if I'm getting undesirably low in health, I need to make sure that I'm out of range of the Greymane E.
Additionally, you need to watch out a lot for Falstad, especially because he's the auto attack build. He's going to be picking frequent flyer. And if he gets to hit you for free, if you don't realize that he's hitting you for free, your health pool will actually go from 100 to 0 in the span of 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And the same is true for Varian, but Varian is a lot easier to notice because he's going to be up in your face.
I will say that I do not go up against very many Falstads. It's been a very long time since I've played against a Falstad. I ended up actually capitalizing on the fact that Falstad was lonely in lane a few times in this game.
10 seconds.
So for the first couple of minutes, the main thing that I'm going to be looking at is how should you rotate and how should you be playing around your team, because that is a big part of Storm League. Is the optimal situation is not happening in Storm League. Like, your team is not going to be in perfect sync with you. They're not going to be catching the map perfectly. They're not going to let you do the same thing every time, right? Sometimes your team will be very split out. Sometimes your team will want to brawl a lot, and you need to adjust to that as the DPS.
Yeah.
So mainly in the first couple of minutes, I will be looking at your rotations, how you should be moving on the map, where it is safe for you to be, where it is not, and why. Potential camps that you can do. Spoiler alert, I doubt you can do camps on early, because you need Orphea is not good at the siege camp, and she can only do the bruiser camp with significant help. And yeah, so ideally, if we go from the ideal situation, in Storm League, keep in mind what I'm about to say will not apply to competitive, and I will not go into competitive right now, is that Orphea can double soak very, very well here. Especially if your team keeps some vision of this bush, this triangle control. So there is a concept called triangle control on Dragonshire, which means that if you do not have vision of any of these bushes, this is an extremely dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
Additionally, the distance between mid and bottom is very small, so it's also easy to rotate, assuming that this area is safe for you, of course. In competitive, Orphea will probably be laning down here, but that is not what is good in Storm League.
5, 4, 3, 2.
So in the first team fight, I don't know exactly what league this is.
This is bronze. This is like low end of bronze.
This is low bronze, okay. Then I will curb my expectations. But
Yeah.
in low bronze, and I have an account in low bronze, by the way, that I have gotten there quite recently.
Oh my God.
The main thing that you want to be wary of is mindless brawling. So, hitting enemies without anything happening because of your hitting those enemies. So it is very tempting if you're in the mid lane to just hit the enemies, farm some hero damage, etc. But meanwhile, top is not getting soaked, bottom is not getting soaked, none of the camps are being taken, and no deaths are happening, or maybe you even lose some heroes. But even if you get kills, keep in mind that at level 1, a kill is less than 4 minions.
Wow.
A kill in the early game is not worth anything. So soaking all of the minions, and spoiler alert, I looked at the minion graph earlier, that was not being done, is going to be the best and most reliable way to play Orphea and win in this league. That also means that while you can use your Q on the enemy heroes in the mid lane, I would like you to use your E and W if possible, and safe to do so, of course. In the case of the W, on the minion wave that is spawning in the mid lane and not on enemy heroes.
Unleash the dragon's wrath.
So Sylvanas is a little bit late, so you already have to keep in mind that your initial fight is going to be a 4v4. You stay back, let someone else face check the bush. That's a good call. Stitches goes out into lane. And you step up to hit Murder a little bit. And you use your E and W on the heroes. Now, this is a nice kill, right? But the minions have not been killed yet. And because these minions are not killed, they're still enemy heroes. In Storm League especially, it is going to be very likely that these minions will continue to survive for quite a bit, while you can be one-shotting them. Now Sylvanas is overstepping, that happens, that's fine. And you in fact do get another kill. And you get ahead because of it. But as soon as that kill happens, you want to be soaking. Now you see Valera on her way to bot lane. Maybe she is just entering a bush, mounting up and going back to mid, that's possible. But because your solo laner, who is probably Valera in this case, is not soaking top, I would actually, if I was in your shoes, mount up and go to top lane. Catch the wave, mount up, go back to mid.
Yeah, I think you actually may be spoiling the gameplay a little bit.
I mean, it is a pattern, right?
Yeah, I know, I get it. And I do think I end up going top lane here, yeah.
Very nice. I very much approve of this play. And I like this. As long as if there is a hero here, that you do not engage them and you do not fight with them.
Yep.
So, do you see there's a misplay being made here? Do you see it in post? Actually, 2 misplays. So you go up to the lane, and you want to clear the lane.
Yeah.
Did you see what went wrong?
I used my Q.
Mm-hmm.
I also used their bush to... I face-checked their bush. I don't know.
Face-checking their bush is actually completely fine because you just had 2 kills. You have vision of where they are. You know Murden is right here. At most, there's going to be a Falstad here. So this is a very safe place to be. However, why are you going to this lane?
To get the XP.
Now I want you to pay special attention to this globe that is on the floor.
Oh, I missed the globe, huh? Yeah, I let it expire.
You let it expire. But second of all, notice how your W...
Oh, it goes past the wave. I didn't, okay, yeah.
First of all, your E went past the wave, but because you cast your Q and then spend some time moving, you cast your E quite early. Your W did not hit slowed minions. So if I look at this minion and I open the stats panel, oh god, no, I don't get to see the stats panel. Never mind. But you can see that this hit is not a critical hit.
Yeah, because I didn't have the buff from E.
Because your
I
E
let it
was that
expire.
long ago. So
Yeah.
that is both that you missed the central part of the E, the end part, the exploding part,
Yeah.
which would refresh the slow, but also that casting your Q before your W meant that the slow had time to run out.
Okay. Yeah, I actually have been noticing myself
You
doing that
possess a
lately.
certain
So I appreciate you bringing that up. Because that just reinforces what I'm thinking.
So if I were playing here, I would be casting E basically on top of the wizard because it can still hit this minion, right? With the explosion. The explosion is quite big. And I would be stepping up 2 here in order to get this minion and hit all 5 remaining minions with the W.
Yeah.
And I would not be using my Q at all.
Yep.
You mount up, you go back to bot. But keep in mind, at this point, there are a lot more people alive. You do still see 3 people here. So while this is a relatively safe rotation because of that, right? But I kind of doubt that you were thinking, hey, I see 3 people, so this is a safe rotation. I think you probably automated going through their side of the map.
Yes.
And keep in mind that that is not a great idea.
Yeah.
So you come to mid, you see 3 enemy heroes. You see your team already kind of low. There are people on Morales. You are about to have your E and W. What do you think you should do?
Probably try and peel the team a little bit. That way they can go back.
I actually think that your team is a lost cause here.
Okay.
And I'll explain myself a little bit. Morales is
Alright.
out of energy. She is right next to a Greymane. Even slowing him, he can still Q past that hitter. Muradin will probably not die to the Valera. Be able to Stormbolt Morales, and she will still die. Sylvanas can get out, and if she wants to go back in and kill herself, there is nothing you can do to save her from that. They are not low enough for that. So I would press E right here, W the minion wave, mount up, and go bottom, and completely ignore these heroes. Maybe toss in a Q to dash past them and get to bot lane faster.
Okay.
That is how little I would care about these heroes.
Okay.
But wait, you'd get killed. If you go behind them, they're just gonna turn around and kill you.
First of all, this is Bronze Nova, I won't, and second of all, that's why you have your that's why you have your Q. But they're busy hitting your Morales. Even if they turn around on you, there's ample opportunity to hit Q, hit auto attack, get health back, dash away. So what ends up happening is that your Morales actually just stays still. Muradin gets out for free. And you do get a kill, but Sylvanas goes in for it, is gonna die regardless.
Okay.
And the minions don't die. Now, I want to highlight the only difference in XP at this point that is really relevant here is actually does... I forget the hotkeys in this janky thing. Does anyone remember the hotkey to bring up the XP thing in Spazos? No.
No, I'm not a wizard, so
Yeah, okay. But you are ahead in XP, right? That is purely because you caught this wave.
Yeah.
That is the XP difference between these two teams right now.
Yeah.
So, actually they don't even chase Sylvanas, she gets out. That's fine. But, keep in mind what I said at the start. Hitting the Varian here and hitting the rest of their team past the Greymane dying was actually a little bit of a waste of time, right? You actually got distracted from hitting the minions here.
Yeah.
So you see Sylvanas going bot lane. I think she's going to camp. And not bottom lane. This is what needs to be caught, but also this.
Yeah. So I end up actually seeing that these guys are going towards bot. I think even the Valera goes. So I decide to give it to them and go back up top.
That is exactly correct. There is one thing that you could do extra, and that is ping assist in the top lane. I doubt anyone is actually going to listen and care about the ping, but it is a free action, right? It doesn't cost you anything to do.
Yeah, of course.
So I really like this. Though there is one argument to be made. This minion wave in the mid lane, you spent so long mid in your rotation that the next minion wave just popped up mid.
Yeah.
Clearing this and then heading top to get these free minions that will not die in this time frame, plus the extra wave, will net you an extra wave in total. So it probably is worth clearing this wave. However, I don't mind this either. But keep in mind at this point, this is definitely an unsafe rotation.
It's a danger zone, yeah.
I like that you stay hidden in the bush. I think that's really good. However, I think you show yourself too early. And you focus on the wrong thing.
Yeah, I probably should have focused on the wave.
And while you get the wave, you are now at really low health. If Muradin had, let's be honest, a brain, he could have pressed E and auto-attacked you 2 times, and you would have died. And the wave does end up staying uncleared for quite a while. You actually miss the wave. That's actually because you're getting baited by your Q, right? You want to land the Q on the wave, and the only way to do that when the wave is split like this is to be standing here.
Yep.
That is why W is also better, because you can be standing right here, press W on all these minions, and have cleared the minions.
Yeah. I also was worried about the Muradin in the bush, because I was 80% certain he was just lingering in the bush.
And
So to confirm, he was. But the thing is my idiot self decided that I wanted to cue the wave and then get rid of my only ability to actually escape the Muradin if he decided to E on me.
So if you went right here and W'd the wave, all of these minions except this one would be dead, and you would still have your Q to hit the Muradin and get out. And in fact, you miss 3 minions. Oh wait, you don't. Wow, you get out. Oh, Muradin, oi, what are you doing? There is a small thing that I want to point out. Muradin did just use his Q. He did just use his E. So he actually has nothing to threaten you with at this point, right? So at the point that you get in your tower range and behind your minions, I would actually like queuing the Muradin both to heal up, be a little bit safer, and get out of the Brightwing's range faster.
I think I just had the blinders on at that moment. I was in panic mode and I was just escaping.
I think this is totally fine as well. But keep in mind, you use the fountain, and you're actually at a decent health pool right now, right? So you can still clear this wave with EW. With the Brightwing in there, and you'll be getting 2 E Chaos hits to get some, what's it called? Get some health back. But also, if you had picked Backbiter here, you would actually be at, actually I'm going to do the math. You would have 270 health more here. That you would gain from Backbiter just by selecting the talent. Because when you gain maximum life in Heroes of the Storm, that is also added to your current life. So it is a heal when you pick the talent. And 1,000 life is more than enough to stay in this lane as well. Just a small thing.
Yeah, I see it. I decided to go bot. I don't know why.
You wanted to help do the camp. And I understand why, but like I said at the beginning, it is not worth your time.
Yeah.
You are still ahead a level, and that is, if we look at the tab screen, purely because of you soaking minions. You soaking minions has been phenomenal this game and has gotten you ahead a full level. And keep in mind, if you hit level 6, when your teammates, randomly start hitting enemies and not, actually playing the game, hitting minions and stuff, having 4% extra health and 4% extra damage is going to turn the tide in your team's favor a lot more, especially in the long run, than anything else will. So, actually, let's go back to the point where you harped, which was a while ago.
Yeah.
If you go top, you will still miss free minions, right? These are already dead.
Yeah.
You will pick up the pity globes, you will get 75% of one minion.
Yeah.
But you get free extra minions here. But if we actually look at what you added to this camp, I don't think you were needed here.
Yeah, so I actually decided that I was going to put a little bit of damage on the camp and then walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Just to speed up Sylvanas so she could get back in lane and, do her thing.
Mm-hmm. But because bottom is being missed, your team comp is a little bit weird. You don't have an actual offlaner. It can be Valera, but she wants to play Heroes of Hitting Heroes, not Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
So she's never top lane. But it is definitely best for you to just chill here and keep 2 heroes busy, right?
Yeah.
Then if we actually look at the everyone perspective, Valera and Morales are actually doing just fine here without you. And I think they could have capped this point without you. Because there are 2 heroes top. Stitches did just die a while ago. But soaking minions, and this is only true until like level 13, by the way. Keep that in mind. Post level 13, it changes quite a bit. Excuse me, let me get a drink. There we go. Them getting the Dragonite this early, if your Morales and your Valera lose this lane, right? An early Dragonite doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be afraid of that. I mean, Stitches is actively killing himself here, but that's fine. We're looking at you, not your teammates. But even when you get here, you have a nice predict on the Greymane, but as soon as your E and W come up, I think, again, your Q is fine to use on the heroes here, but just EWing this wave will get your minions into the enemy on the enemy side, will give you vision of this entire area, will make it safer for your team to contest this point, and if the enemy heroes keep rolling you here, will cause them to lose these minions in XP, or if Greymane stays here, will cause him to tank these minions and take a lot of damage. And keep in mind, minion damage is kind of low, but it really adds up in this game.
Much better.
So you do eventually end up using W on the wave, but you... because without the E, it just isn't enough to one-shot the wave. Keep in mind, again, this kill just isn't worth that much right now.
Yep.
And this is actually one case where I agree with killing Falstad. I mean, this is a very nice pickup, right? This kill on the Falstad.
Yeah.
Over just raw clearing the wave. And there is a very simple reason for that. Do you know why, if you look at the situation?
Well, he's sitting there in mid. He's the only person contesting the Dragonite.
It has nothing to do with Dragonite.
Oh, okay.
I don't care about Dragonite.
I mean, he was getting a free wave of soak.
Mm-hmm. And now you can grab this wave of soak, and they will lose this wave of soak. So if a kill leads to the situation where they drop soak, or where they can no longer do a camp, or where they cannot push, those are kills that actually matter. Right? But the actual experience that you got from this kill, if you look at the top of the map, at the top of the screen, and you look at the actual experience that was gained by your team, 450.
Yeah, it was like 25% of the bar.
Now, if we pick up a single minion, that is 84. Now, 6 minions in the wave drop XP. What is 84 times 6? Rough estimate? 500.
You put me on the spot here, man.
It is 504. Falstad was worth 450 XP. These these minions are worth 50 more XP than Falstad, and we have scaled to level 6, where heroes gain XP value rapidly throughout the game. That is how important this wave is.
Okay.
You possess a certain talent.
But still, honestly, this game right now, it is going fantastic, right? I'm pointing out a lot of things that you could be doing better, but especially considering the league we're in, what your team is doing, like, honestly, your team is doing fuck all. You have done everything for your team this game so far, right? You are doing really, really well. So I expect the turning around part of this game is going to be a level 8 versus 9 fight, where you lose 3 members, probably you as well. You drop a lot of soak. The enemy team accidentally picked up soak by pushing a lane in, where there happen to be minions. That is often what happens in these leagues. And get level 10 around the same time as you, because if they get a kill at the point that your team is 2 levels ahead, a kill scales in experience depending on how far ahead or behind a team is, and not in levels but in raw experience value. So if a team is at the start of level 6 and kills someone at the end of level 6, level 6.9, they get a lot more experience than if the other team killed the other way around. So that is a quote-unquote comeback mechanic in HOTS. Kills are worth a lot of XP if you are behind in levels, but they also become gradually less and less and less. And in fact, a hilarious thing is, if you are 3.5 levels ahead, roughly, a kill becomes worth less than a minion. A single minion.
Wow.
And the reverse is true. If you are 3.5 levels behind and you get 1 kill, you instantly get an entire level from that.
Wow.
So keep that in mind, and especially you are already basically a full level ahead. Kills become less and less and less important than just soaking minions. So you think about going top, you think about going mid, and you're a bit split right now. I wouldn't have minded you going top, and I wouldn't have minded you staying mid. Because you can catch a wave here. You're thinking about Dragon Knight. Now I actually want to look at your camera and see when you looked at top. So I can look at your camera by double pressing your player number. Oh boy, you don't look top. Ooh. Do you not move your camera at all?
No, I do sometimes. It's very rare that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so used to camera lock, and I really do want to practice getting better at it, but also at the same time, I only have so many hours in the day, right? So
yeah, of course.
I'm trying to figure out what's best for me. Do I play this way? Do I just play the way that I've been playing and still try and make it?
So there is one thing, one time where I would really urge you to think about and practice moving your camera, right? And that is one specific moment in the game when you are doing one specific action, and that is when you are mounting up and you are considering where to go next.
Okay.
Every time that you mount up, you should be looking at your mini-map and think about where should I go next. But you can, at that point, left-click on your mini-map and look to where you think you might be wanting to go, which in this case was top lane, right? And see what is going on there. Take in the situation. There's a low health Sylvanas, there is a half health Burden, there's a full health Stitches, and there's a Brightwing. And even if you only look here for like 2 seconds, you'll at least get a little bit of a picture of what's going on here, right?
Enough information to discern.
And immediately afterwards, you can hold space, go back to your hero.
Yep.
And that is, I think, the easiest way is whenever you are mounting up, look towards you where you think you might want to go, and then think to yourself, do I actually want to go there or do I not? So I hope you can make use of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely take note and make sure that I'm using that. I see Fan do it all the time. I don't know if you watch Fan.
A little bit. So this is actually a thing I haven't talked about yet. Is look at what the minions are actually doing here, right?
Yeah, they're all in a line.
They're all in a line. You E the minion wave, and they all keep moving towards you. But look how separated the minions are at this point.
Yeah. All because they're stopped to auto attack me.
Because you exposed yourself to the minions. Now,
Yes.
if you want to, well, first of all, we already talked enough about hitting the Q. But if you want to clear the wave efficiently, there are two things you can do. One of which is easier than the other. And the easier play, and the one that I would recommend you to do just because it's easier, is just wait for 2-3 seconds it takes for these two minion waves to meet. And then it's a lot easier to aim your E and W the wave. It also saves you from taking damage, because while this is only 3 ranged minions and 3 melee minions, you do take
Like
10% of your health and damage.
Yeah.
And now 10% isn't much, but it adds up, right? It really does add up over time. And because the minion wave was so split, you weren't able to use all of your abilities on all the minions. The actual time that you spent here, because you were too early in hitting the minions, you actually spent more time here than you would have otherwise. You forget to mount up a little bit earlier. That's okay though. And here you die. Here you should die. Okay, they misplayed.
No, I didn't die. I was too skilled.
So, what's going wrong here? You're rotating without taking into account the minimap. And this is also why I want you to practice every time you mount up. Look at the minimap and be critical, right? You see 3 people on the map right now, and you have no idea where these other 2 people might be. So taking the safe rotation because you don't see them is a good idea. However, at this point you see the Falstad, but any time that you are outnumbered, you should imagine, actually you don't have to imagine right now, there's a physical line here, but there is a border here in the middle of the lane. Whenever you don't have no clue what the enemies are doing, you cannot cross this line. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes it simple.
So when you cross this line, this is the danger zone.
Okay.
And if you are here, it is still relatively close to your towers. It is easy to get to your towers in safety and survive. So if we actually look at, do you cross this line? And the reason you survive here is because you did not cross the line. Did you see that? If you went just a little further, you actually would have died here. 100%.
Yeah, all the slows, all the everything.
But Varian was unable to get onto you.
Yeah.
Which, you know, saved your bacon. Very small detail here. It doesn't actually matter here, but straight after a Q, you can always auto-attack for free. Your auto-attack with Chaos is instant.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you would have to right-click Greymane or attack move, and then move your mouse all the way back here to move command again. So if you don't feel comfortable doing that, this is totally fine, like I said.
I've been picking up clicking A and then dropping it on a character when I want to stutter step.
Last thing I want to mention is you probably see this as well in post, but this W actually just is exposing yourself to danger. You're making yourself stand still for nothing whatsoever. Even if they were actually chasing you, all this would do is slightly damage them. They're full health. They're not going to die to your towers, and just expose you.
Yeah. So I think what happened here, and I've done this a few times actually, is that this right here is a force of habit. So I'm so used to clicking EQ and then following it up with a W that I just habitually did it.
I mean, you already know that it's a habit. I don't have anything to say.
Yeah.
Just running away.
So, what happened here?
I didn't clear the wave. Used my E on too early.
Let's get out of here.
You want to Harf because you're low.
Yep.
Then you notice that you have Fountain, so you take Fountain instead. That's okay.
Yep.
I don't mind this. However, take the damn Fountain if you have decided not to Harf. Because I'm going to be a little bit mean, and I'm going to zoom in on you. And just look at what you are actually doing. Because you have spent about 30 seconds here where you have done nothing in this game.
Yes.
So, you Harf,
Just running away.
Yeah.
you move, you mount, you move, you move,
Yeah.
you move,
And I'm adding no value for that extended period of
you
time.
press E, you soak one minion, you soak two minions, you move, you mount up, you stand still, you stand still, you
I think
move,
it's because I was typing.
Yeah, you shot it.
that's a lot of nothing.
Yeah.
So, like I said at the beginning, right? EW the wave. I think that's clear enough at this point.
Yes.
You misclick on the minions of the Varian. You wanted to heal, use your chaos. I understand. That happens. That's just mechanics. But at this point, there's no reason to W the wave or QW the wave and just move back, because as soon as you use your Q, you're no longer safe.
Yeah.
But one of the worst things you can do is start typing, because
Right
at
next to
this
the bush.
point, if Varian is in this bush
Yeah.
and you have your enter button open and he starts attacking you,
I have no way to get out.
you have your cooldowns, but you can't press
Yeah.
your buttons.
Yeah.
And he was actually in this bush. He definitely could have E'd you.
I think what he was trying to do was wait for me to get on the wave. And then when I didn't do that, he just decided not.
So this I do actually very much dislike, because you get your Q on the Varian to chase him. You had your slow on him, but you don't auto attack him, and it is very important for Orphea to auto attack in between her ability casts, right? So it's okay to misclick on a minion sometimes. That happens, right? But the fundamental plan that you have is flawed here.
Yep.
Because also keep in mind, you tagged him with your E, which slowed him by 25%. But your next auto attack is also going to slow him, which makes him easier for both you to hit and for the Valera to hit. Because if you auto attacked and then W'd, you would have hit your W. The slow would have made it hit.
Yeah.
And that is just unfortunate. I would also like to point out, you do not have a level 7 yet. And that is, again, I know I'm going over this specific bit a lot, but I think it's really important. You picked your level 7 for the specific reason that it would give you healing in lanes, right? But you're not doing that. Yeah. If you E-W the wave here, you heal for an okay amount. But you don't. You can W the wave here, but you're not going to last hit it, so maybe that's why you're holding off on using your W. I don't know, could be. But then, the next time you use your W, it is on a hero. And in the case that you are using your W on heroes, which, by the way, I think it's okay in this case. I mean, obviously, I want this lane cleared. This is a bigger priority than Varian right now. But in that case, Insatiable does 100% more than Ravenous Hunger.
Okay.
Because if you hit this W on the Varian and he does get away, you then have your W for the wave again. That's the nice thing about it. But in any case, Valera just barely doesn't get the Varian. Yeah. That's okay. But the fact that you have 3 heroes bottom and you have missed 4 minions is not okay. Mm-hmm. And I think you see exactly what you could have done, right?
Yes.
Same thing here, EW the wave. And you have to E on top of things. You cannot E behind them. But
yes.
I think that's just a mechanics thing, right? I don't think we need to
I've gotten better at it lately.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to do another mean thing and zoom in on you here.
Please, please. Because
what are you actually doing with your time?
I'm not mounted up. I should be mounted up. And then also at the same time, my main goal was to try and at least heal for Sylvanas, and then she died anyways. I should have just said she was locked out. So
you tunnel vision really hard on the Grey main.
Yeah.
To the point that you forgot to mount up. You don't clear this camp.
Yes.
You don't soak these minions. You got one more minion here, but you missed one.
Okay.
And actually, I want to look at this camp. Does this camp do anything? So no, actually, Valera did get this camp.
We got a well hunter over here.
What am I looking at?
Dude, I looked at this replay back. I didn't even notice that this happened.
Okay, but in the grand scheme of this game, that literally doesn't matter, by the way. Anyway.
Oh my god.
Back to the things you do have an influence on. Oh wait, let me get some water.
I've been through this game twice now already without you, and I didn't even notice that. So that's a wonderful thing to see.
All right, I'm back. So, another thing I want to mention is I am very happy with your attitude towards this game. Do you understand what I mean when I say that?
I'm not sure actually.
You could have gotten upset at Vis Morales and claimed that, oh, this is why we lost the game, etc., right? But this is just hilarious. And the enemy team, especially in Bronze, will do this really, really dumb stuff too. So it doesn't matter that your Morales did it this time. Maybe Brightwing does it next time, for example. So I like that you don't get upset about it. And I think that's really important, especially when you're in the middle of a game. This can be a lot harder than when you're looking at it backwards from the replay review, etc., right? But staying cool, focusing on the things that you can do, these are the really important things, and that will get you out of Bronze, which I assume is part of why you want coaching.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to point out that it has been 2 levels since you had picked a level 7, and you do not have a level 7 yet.
Wait, I didn't pick a level 7?
Yes, you have a quest, but you do not have quest stacks.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you're talking about.
So you do not have a level 7.
Yeah, no, I get it.
If you had Insatiable, you would have had your W for 5 seconds already. You could have chomped the Square Man again, chomped the Wave, whichever. You have slightly more level 7, but still 10 damage is absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway, clearing the wave could be done more efficiently, yada yada. I think we can skip past those things now because it's that's all I'm going to be talking about today. So again, skipping this wave, it's okay for getting the falsehood, right? But again, if you had Insatiable,
I would have my W up.
you would have your W almost up again. Another thing is efficient ability usage and weaving in your auto attacks. Right, so you E blindly into the fog, which not a great idea.
Yeah, in retrospect, I mean it's a longer cooldown than most, and it was simply to give me vision. And I shouldn't have done that.
But I think if you knew that Felsa was here, which you probably did because you were pinging the shit out of him, that you didn't need the E to get vision on him. And in fact, you missed the E, which means that you don't have a Chaos to start off with this fight. It means that you don't get a slow on him. But also, you get into melee range, and you land a nice Q, you auto-attack immediately after. Very good. You chomp. But I actually want to highlight that you can press W a lot faster. Now, I don't know if you're using Quick Cast.
Yeah, I'm using quick cast. I'm not pointing and clicking.
So as soon as you see the damage number of your E pop up, you can already press W. You do not have to fear input dropping in this game. So you can interrupt your hero's animation of extending their hand and zapping the enemy by pressing abilities. What it ultimately means is that you can press W right now, already. Start casting it. Do you see that?
Yes.
And instead, if we go over it by slow motion, it's going to look really awkward. It takes you this long to press W.
Yeah.
And it's a small thing this time around, right? But it adds up, of course, because the sooner you press W, the sooner it'll be back, especially if you pick Insatiable, which would definitely have been very helpful here. But also, because you spend quite a long time not casting your W, you don't use your Q dash. Did you notice?
Yes.
So, if we actually look at this fight, you have 80% of your bar, he has half of his bar. In the case that you had Insatiable, I think you actually want to dash in towards here. And then even if he ease out, you can keep chasing him.
Yep.
However, because you don't have Insatiable, you don't actually have anything more to threaten him. You can auto-attack him, and you can Q him, but you don't have an E and you don't have a W. And that is part of why Insatiable is such a good talent. Because in situations like these, it allows you to trade really, really hard with heroes. Because, you know, this is 434 damage every 2 seconds. But if you can only Q, you only have 230 damage every 2 seconds. And if Falstad has 900 health, you just did, 500 damage with your chomp. But you actually cannot kill him very quickly at all with just your Q. Because if he has 900 health, each Q does roughly, 300 damage? It's still going to take 3 Qs to kill him, with each auto attack in between dealing roughly 200 damage. Which is still 3 Qs and 2 auto attacks to get him. Considering he's also going to heal from his auto attacks, right? And that means that eventually you have to back off, because look at the difference in HP. His entire build is focused around trading as well, right? Look at the difference in XP. Right after you use all of your abilities, you're at 80%, he's at half. But then you don't have any abilities to cast. You're at 800, and he is still at the same health amount. It is also that you did not cast your Q as soon as it got up. Right, that's a very important thing with Orphea, is using your Q as soon as possible. And the second reason, I mean, obviously, you know, using abilities is good because it gets the abilities out. But also, if you wait too long with using your Q again, which you can use your Q right now, the issue is that the slow that he has on him from your auto attack will run out.
Yes.
And you can no longer land your Q.
Yep.
So you use all of your cooldowns. You have your Q, your W, and your E on cooldown. And walking back into Falstad is going to get you killed. And if Falstad wanted to, you would be dead right here. Still, I don't hate this. And if you walk up to the wave in W, Ravenous Hunger will finally have done something this game. But you are actually not playing around Ravenous Hunger. Did you see that?
Yeah, so this game, I realized that I wasn't stacking very fast at all after I took the talent. Yeah, I don't know why I actually didn't try and get more of the waves while I was, able to do so. Maybe I was just hyper focused at that point in time at just trying to kill heroes at this stage. I don't know.
But it has been 3 levels, and you have 5 Ravenous Hunger stacks, right?
Yeah, it's not good.
I'm gonna politely ask you to not pick this talent again. Even if you think it's good. Because in this situation, I think a lot of factors lined up to where you can make an argument for it. But as I said in my Orphea presentation video, it is not a good talent, right? But if you are not playing around your off-meta talent very well, or at all even, you weren't playing around it at all this game, it is not worth picking up. I think there is a serious argument to be made for if you are especially proficient with a talent that is normally not good, it can be worth picking it. And there is an EU player in Grandmaster, called Blank, who very often picks talents that nobody else picks, and he performs with them because he has practice with them, he likes them, he uses what they bring to the table. But because you are not doing so with Ravenous Hunger, I would recommend you to stop picking it altogether, even when it looks good.
Okay. That's fine.
And
I wasn't attached to that talent anyways.
But also because Ravenous Hunger has an active misplay component to it. And what I mean with that is, if you can kill someone that is in melee range with an auto attack, you might consider not killing them with your auto attack, because your W is going to be up in 0.3 seconds, and you're going to be casting W in melee range of them, which they then dodge, and you don't get the kill. Stuff like that is really bad. I hope you can agree on that point.
Yeah. Oh, I do.
So, again, you were bot lane this entire time, but
Yeah,
you did
we
not
got
soak a
four.
single minion.
Yeah.
And this is why you are no longer ahead in experience. This is the third time it's happened in a lane, in specifically bot lane, where you have been for a while, where you failed to get the XP in that lane. And the easiest fix to this is stop focusing on the enemy hero in the lane, start focusing on the minions. So they got the Dragon Knight, unfortunate, probably could have played around it, but what's happened has happened. Now, if you had Backbiter here, you would be in
Yeah, I
safety.
would've dashed out. Yeah, I think I die here.
If you had Q dash here, you could dash downwards, get to safety. But the ultimate reason why you die here is that, and I'm actually going to look at your camera for this one, you did not look into where you were going to. And yes, you did not move your camera. So you had no idea what was waiting for you here, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And what was waiting for you was a Dragon Knight, a Varian, and a Muradin. The Dragon Knight is going to kick Stitches away. And then you, at a half-health Orphea, are faced with 3 chonky boys that are going to right-click you, and you will die. If you were, if you had come in from this side instead, you could be hitting it across the wall, healing from your stuff, landing your Q more easily. That you missed your Q also didn't help. That's just mechanics. Though part of it, and this is a general Q hitting tip, is that you want to be using your Q on a slowed target.
Yeah.
And in this case, well, actually, you were just slow to react to the Muradin jump. That's okay, that happens. But yeah, you die. Fast forward to when you're back alive. Now, when you respawn, it is the exact same thing as just having mounted up, right?
Yeah, keep an eye out on the map.
Look at the map, where am I needed, what can I do? Now, if we look at a replay and we look at the map right now, what is your play?
I mean, there's a camp at top that probably needs clearing.
More importantly, there are delicious minions in top.
Oh, delicious.
Valera and Morales, just like the rest 3 lanes. This lane has had a person in it for the last 2 minutes, and not a single minion in this lane has been soaked. That is sad. That is just very sad to watch. Your comment does not help your team at all.
No, probably not.
There are honestly very few things that opening your chat for, especially when you died, that is actually a good idea to communicate to your team. So the retreat ping, good. Right? You're telling your team to go away from somewhere, but the Stitches stop chasing. A general statement like this does not help your team.
Yeah.
Are you typing a second sentence? Yep. So,
Get out of there.
1,
Do that.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You took an extra 6 seconds to actually respawn.
Yeah, I could have been in lane.
You could have been right here. This is about 6 seconds of travel from spawn. Oh, you type again. I think it is honestly a good idea to turn off ally chat. There is very little that actually can be said. Most of the time, if you're using chat in a positive way, and by a positive way, I mean in a way that will help you win the game. Right, so I understand where these comments come from, because Sages is doing stupid stuff, he isn't doing what you want him to do, but he isn't going to take this and internalize it. He isn't going to play around your comments.
Yeah.
And I can basically guarantee you that. But also, you're so focused on what's going on in the mid lane that you didn't look at your minimap, you didn't realize that you're missing 2 minion waves plus a camp barreling down top. And actually, if I remember correctly, I believe you lose this fort, if I looked at the timeline correctly. Bottom lane is being lost, and you were a full 1.5 levels ahead in the game. But because you spent so much time hitting minions, you lost this wave, you lost 2 waves here. I believe this has lost 3 minion waves in total. You, if you took all of those minions, would be roughly level 13 right now. And instead you're behind half a level. And again, this trade doesn't do anything, your ult hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
And this is part of why I really don't like this ult.
Yeah.
When you land it, it is nice. However, it is excruciatingly hard to land this ult on heroes that are not to your direct sides, because that's the only time you can get it wide enough to where they can't simply walk out of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, you smacked a couple of heroes 2 times. And Varian has had a whale of a time hitting your fort. Greymane had time to rotate in from mid to top. You were hitting him in mid. He has healed up fully. Brightwing healed him on the way. And you lost the fort. And this was very directly avoidable by you.
Yes.
Because I saw this coming
When I was in spawn.
at this point.
Literally, so I could have taken the time in retrospect to sit in spawn and do this work when I was dead. This was easy work that could have been done for me, but yeah, I didn't manage to do it.
And that is definitely another tip I want to say. When you are dead, and you want to you always want to focus on what's next. Focusing on what happened, what your teammates did wrong, what could have been done better in the team fight, is almost never a winning play. It will almost never lead to some grand what's it called? Some grand revelation that will start winning you the game. And in fact, I play in a competitive HOTS team, right? I've played in Masters Clash, I've played in Kaldor's Meta Madness, we qualified for it. And we have a rule in our team, which if someone is starting to talk about what happened in the game, we always tell them, we'll talk about it in the replay. Because these things are always better to look at from the replay.
Yeah.
because
most certainly, yeah.
because there you actually have time to look at all of the factors. Because 30 seconds to analyze the last 3 minutes of gameplay is not a lot. To take in the entire map at once, consider all the factors, the enemy cooldowns, the way they walked, the way your team played, etc. It isn't a fair equation. It's not going to lead to anything. But if you saw that this lane was being missed, and there was a lane about to be here, saw that this lane was being missed, there's a lane about to be here, you had direct things to do on the map, right? And looking at Sylvanas, and looking at Stitches, and Morales and Valera, hitting the enemy heroes, potentially dying, doesn't lead you to anything.
No.
Analyzing, am I needed here, is the only real thing you can do.
Yep.
So yeah. So yeah, if we actually look at this camp's journey, because you could have you knew this camp was coming. I have to go back very far. You knew this camp was coming at this point.
Your killing spree has ended.
And you were dead at this point, so you had time to look at it.
Get out of there.
Yeah.
And I just want to highlight just how slow a camp actually pushes.
This isn't over.
Yeah. I mean, I could have been there.
I'm actually going to speed this up 2 times. It actually takes forever for a camp to do something. This camp has been on the map for more than a minute
Yeah.
before it actually got your fort.
Yeah.
And that is another thing that I'm going to segue into, is when you get a team wipe, for example, when you kill enemy heroes and you're deciding on what to do, keep this in mind, that it took a full minute from a camp to go from here to here and actually have done something. In a minute, a level 20 team has respawned. Right, because death timers at level 20 are a full minute. Take that into account when you're thinking about when to do camps, because camps are really overrated. They help you do pushes, but if there are no enemy heroes in the way, just hitting the structures yourself is nearly always going to be better.
Yeah.
Destroyed a fort.
Anyway. Wow, we have spent 1.5 hours and we're 7 minutes into the replay. I think we can...
I'm getting a lot of information out of this. This is great.
And keep in mind, it's all going to be recorded, so you can take the time to watch it later. And
Perfect.
now I want to highlight the exact thing that I said earlier. You can auto-attack here, but you want to W for the stack. And look at you versus Greymane. Full chaos, low health, not auto-attacking, because you are thinking about Ravenous Hunger stacks. And so Greymane did not die. Now in this case he still died because he jumped back in, there were still people on him, but I think it's not much of a stretch to say this will save people a lot of the time, and you didn't get your stack.
Uh-huh.
I think that is the last comment I will be saying about Ravenous Hunger. Or you still only have 18 bonus damage, which, if Insatiable gave you a single extra cast throughout the entire game, that is 470 versus this 18.
Oh, I would have been doing an unimaginable amount of damage more. I'm almost certain.
But even then, right? You were still doing great throughout this game. You have nearly highest hero damage, you have high kill participation, and you have very high soak. So you're still doing good. And this game, in fact, is still winnable. There is only one issue throughout this game, and that has to do with you have 11 kills versus 11 kills. But what is the objective in Heroes of the Storm? How do you win the game in Heroes of the Storm?
Macro.
Simpler. What is the action to take in the game that will lead to winning the game?
Ending the core.
Killing the core. If you look at the enemy team, they have to go through this, and they're at core. Or they have to go through this half-broken fort, this, they're at the core. Or they have to go through this, hit the core.
Yeah.
How many structures you have on a map is a decent way to gauge how close are you to actually winning. More so than levels, more so than kills. You have to go through this, and this, and this, and this before you're at a core. Or still this tower, and this, and this, and this to get to the core. Or this, etc.
Yeah.
So you have gotten 11 kills throughout this game, and what is the mark that has left on the state of the game, on the structures that you have taken?
Nothing.
Zilch.
No. Yeah.
Now, there are multiple reasons for that. But the main problem here really just boils down to not hitting the minion waves and hitting heroes instead, while neglecting the minions. And that is a really, really important thing, I believe. I know I've made the same point like 20 times in a row now. And I hope you aren't getting tired of it.
No, it's good to hear. I'm a firm believer in listening to something multiple times actually, helps,
But if you had been able to, say, get a kill, and that led to you soaking a minion wave, pushing those minions in, and the minions took some tower damage, that is actively working towards the end goal of the game, right? Yeah. Killing the core. Yeah. If you kill a hero, and you rotate to top, where there is another hero, and hit that hero, the other hero respawns, gets back to the lane, nothing happens. If you kill a hero, you take the wave, and then you go to the camp, then you push the camp in, get the entire gate. That is a really good deal. So always keep that in mind. The two ways to win are pushing structures and getting a level lead, because a level lead lets you push structures. So there are minions, but you stepped up for a hero. There's a good chance you are dying here. Wow, I do not care about you. But here, actually, obviously hit the wave over the Varian, right? You're not going to be able to kill him. But you got off your E, and you have 2 chaos stacks. And you can auto attack for free. Got off your Q, you can auto attack Muradin or Bratwing, heal, use your chaos stacks. You did not auto attack at all until you used your.
And I focused on chomping.
You're all 3 of your abilities.
Yeah.
Also, insatiable reset, but no Ravenous Hunger stack. So, oh my god, no.
He's the well hunter. That's him.
So, honestly, it is not even a terrible idea if you notice what's going on in your game, of course. I don't believe you did. And
I don't think I did. No.
I think it's good that you didn't, because that means you are because your teammates' mistakes, you cannot directly fix this mistake,
No.
right? If you look at the enemy minions, you can fix the mistake of your teammates not soaking by doing that. But then you only have to look at the enemies. An enemy being out of position here, you can look at the enemy. But looking at your teammates will almost never result to hey, I can do this to fix that. And it is a good sign, and I think very good, that you didn't notice this, because if you did, you would be spending too much time looking at your teammates.
Yeah, my morale would probably have been shifted as well.
That as well. But that's why I encourage you to look at the minimap and only look at the state of the minion waves.
Yep.
And by extension, the camps.
Okay.
Because when you see, this, you see that there is a camp here as well. And that is something you can do. In this case, catching mid is probably a little bit unsafe. There's a Brightwing here, there was a Varian here. This lane desperately needs help. Wave clear ult, okay.
Yeah, so I was hoping to catch the false stat in it. The false stat, it clearly was not a good choice to use the ult on, but...
And that rolls back down to why I don't like crushing jaws. It is excruciatingly hard to land this.
Yes.
And say you had Eternal Feast. You could have used Eternal Feast here, did one tick of damage to the minions, and the exact same thing would have happened. Because if we look at your talents, Crushing Jaws is 400, Eternal Feast is 340. Basically the same.
Yeah.
Except that this has a lower cooldown and 2 times the cast range. So here, E on the minions, not on the Muradin. W the wave. The Muradin is your secondary concern, right? But I think that should be obvious enough by now.
Yes.
There must always be a dragon knight, but will it be you?
I see that.
There we go.
See, I saw that.
Anyway. We get to 13. Stop? Actually, no. Better. I'm gonna do this exercise with you.
Okay, let's do the exercise.
You are mounting up, you're gonna look at the map.
Yeah.
What needs doing?
That's a good question. I probably... Well, so I noticed that the objective is not highlighted up top, and that's probably what I do. I'm actually not certain.
So there is a big tip that I can give you.
Please.
When you are rotating, when you are going somewhere, when you are mounting up, when you don't know what to do, the minions are the single most reliable thing in the entire game. No matter what map you are playing, a minion wave will spawn in every lane every 30 seconds.
Yes.
Now, you can look at the map time to know when the minions will clash, etc, etc. Way too complicated. Yep. There is a very easy thing you can do. Where is my minion wave?
Yeah. If my minion wave is here, their minion wave is mirrored. Yeah.
And we have a minion wave here. So they have a minion wave here.
Also further in.
Knowing that is very good plan.
Yeah.
Which is?
Wait for the minions.
In?
In mid.
In mid lane. Okay. I can agree with this, but there is the second consideration, and that is, where is the enemy team?
The enemy team is probably top at this moment.
You saw this being capped just now, that's why it's being pinged on the map. But you have absolutely no clue if there are enemies here, if there's an enemy here, if there are enemies here. You can look at this objective, and if the bar is slowly being filled up, you can see that there's an enemy there, but that requires yeeting your camera over there.
Mm-hmm.
But you have absolutely no idea what the enemies are right now.
Yeah.
Now, I am fairly confident they will show themselves very soon. But until then, staying here and waiting, or going bot lane to help contest this objective, are both decent plays. With the knowledge in mind that you have no idea what the enemy team is. Because if there is a Falstad and a Varian and a Greymane and a Browning and a Murden in this bush, and you step up here...
Yeah, and I'm dead. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And whenever you see absolutely no one on the map, every bush contains the enemy team.
Yes.
Now, if we actually look at the map, Murden is here, Varian is here, they have 3 people here.
Yeah.
But what do we see if we look to the minimap? So when I don't see the enemy team, I keep looking at the minimap to find out what to do. Because right now, honestly, there is not an obvious thing to do. And I think that was also very, very clear from, you know, if I look at this minimap and I don't see an obvious thing, then how can you?
Yeah.
So waiting is okay, etc. But now you see a Browning, you see a Falstad, you see a Varian. Now this can be a little bit hard to see on the minimap. You can maybe think that there's only one person here, but in that case you see 2 people, right? In that case, we can have 3 people here.
Yeah.
Is this lane safe now?
Not necessarily.
So I wouldn't step up here yet.
Yep.
However, Varian has gone this way. Greymane now also shows. So how knowing that Varian is here, how many people can be in this bush?
Murden.
Just Murden. Or it is excruciatingly hard to keep track of every single enemy hero, and in a real game where you have 2 seconds to think about this, it is much easier to just think there is one person that is maybe here. Another thing that if you get into a little bit higher level of play to think about is do I see the tank? Right? Because if you're next to a bush and there is just a Falstad and a Greymane in there, they can do a lot of damage to you, but they can't keep you from escaping, slowing you, chomping, and dashing out. But if there is a Murden there, he can dash on top of you, slow you, haymaker you. So if you don't see their tank, you want to be extra careful. The other heroes, the details are a lot less important, and I think you should try to just think about it in numbers. But at this point, I would consider mid lane safe. Now Varian was here. So where do you think Varian is now?
Most likely going up. Well, actually, from my vision, he most likely went up to go clear the wave that was sieging the towers. And then he probably went up to top shrine.
I think he's heading towards this.
Yeah.
However, what if he's in here with Murden?
Yeah, he could be a snake in the grass.
So, he isn't. He's over here.
Yeah.
And Murden is also top lane. But the point that I'm trying to get across is this, because you don't see, you know Varian was here, and you don't see Murden, you did not see him bot lane. this is not safe. Now,
Yes.
it's a lot harder to keep track of these things in-game, right?
Yes.
But the most important thing is if you're unsure, take the safer rotation. So if you're unsure right now, what is the safe rotation to top?
Around the path. Yeah.
Over
Yeah.
here.
Top lane.
But also, I think clearing this is more important for all of the reasons that I said before.
Yeah. In retrospect, I think that's more important as well.
And also, before you go to the objective, it is pretty free to EW this wave, clear it totally, still have your Q to get out, mount up, and do the same play. Because you weren't able, it turns out Murden was here and Varian rotated back mid. But you weren't able to get the Dragon Knight from Murden, which meant that all in all, you missed a minion wave, and now you have nothing to show for it, not even the objective. And keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, after you W, after you Q, auto attack. Because you land your E, you auto attack, you Q, you auto attack automatically because you were stunned, so as soon as the sun was out, you auto attack. But you W, you get your full free stacks, but you don't auto attack. You Q instead. So it if you want to make it a little bit easier, just press tapping A before pressing your next skill shot.
Yep.
Is a decent habit to get into.
Okay.
But also, say we are in the case where you really want to contest this point, and you want to contest Murden. Is the 32 bonus damage providing anything towards this?
Not at this moment.
Would 500 damage every 2 seconds, plus 283 shields every 2 seconds, plus 325% bonus damage every 2 seconds work towards that?
Yeah.
Insatiable is a good talent, did you know?
Are you the marketing manager for Insatiable?
Yes. Yes, I am. Anyway, you die.
Unleash its
I
And
think he haymakered me.
there is a single point where you kill yourself, and it has not happened yet. It is here.
Yeah.
If you are trying to fight him, using your Q and missing is the only way you lose the fight.
That's a detriment.
If you're trying to run away, using Q and missing him is the only way you're not going to be able to get away. So waiting with your Q until you know where he is, because he is out of vision, is the best play you can do right now. Because he was right here and you Q'd right here. Actually, this is where you kill yourself.
Where I decide to re-engage.
Because you have a 3 second cooldown on Q. You have a 3 second cooldown on Chomp. You have a 3 second cooldown on Dread. And you have a 3 second cooldown on your ult. Orphea is not a hero without cooldowns. So he even gives you the time to get all of your cooldowns back. He is that generous. But even then,
I get hit by the snowball.
but it is also just not a great idea to duel the Muradin for this. While missing this. Anyway, I think, honestly, that is most of the stuff I have to say about this replay. I need Stitches and Morales to play it more safe. Not a thing that will encourage your teammates. It might even tilt them.
The fire comes for
Anyway, yeah, I think that's about it. I'm gonna fast forward through the rest of the replay, see if there's anything really worth talking about, because we have been going at it for 2 hours. My voice is getting a little bit sore, and we are halfway through the replay. So weaving in auto attacks better. We already mentioned that.
Saved by the haymaker.
This is where you could consider using Eternal Feast. Do you see why?
Yeah, it would essentially make the dragon back off.
It would buy you a little bit of precious time. You have not landed a single crushing jaws this game.
No. Well, actually, I did on the murder, but I died. So it doesn't count.
But anyway, notice how while you were 1.5 levels ahead this game, you have not soaked. I think I saw 3 lanes being soaked in the past 4 minutes. You are now 3 levels behind. Ouch.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a futile chase. Nothing's gonna happen. Sylvanas is tilted and just spouting nonsense. The team is engaging solo, and at this point, you know, it's gonna be really hard to win the game. If you're in this kind of situation, the best thing you can do is get 16, which means focusing on minions, getting this soak, because you know. Can you count for experience globes missed here?
Yeah, it's a lot.
A lot, yes, I agree. A lot is not a good amount of experience to lose.
No.
There's a wave here you can get. There's a wave here you can get, but hitting heroes is more fun.
Heroes. Yeah, I get it.
There's a wave here you can get that spawned again, in addition to these 2 waves before. This camp is slowly whittling away to keep. This camp's gonna pose a problem. Is someone gonna deal with it? Valera very slowly, but her wave clear is ass. We have the 4-man response squad to the single camp. While we have this going on. Also not great, of course.
another chance to prove yourself.
Typing. E placement. Not using abilities because busy reading and typing in chat. You know, all of these things don't help your chances of winning the game. Where's the enemy team?
I have no idea.
They could have all been here. They're probably here. This minion wave will dismount you, give them vision of you. What is the result if you go here and let them cap the Dragon Knight?
They cap Dragon Knight.
How many people will be available to defend against the Dragon Knight?
Yeah. Not very many.
Now
Just
that
4.
you go here,
Oh no, just
and you
3.
decide to 1v4, how many people will be available to defend against the Dragon Knight?
3 because Sylva's dead. And I will be dead.
Yes. When you are behind, it is okay to give an objective.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot better to be defending as 4 than feed them an extra free kill and delay the Dragon Knight cap by half a second.
Shall be remembered.
Anyway, Stitches still gets hooks off. If you were here, you might have missed a kill. They hit structures instead of the core. Oh my god, how does the game go on for another 4 seconds? This is literally checkmate already. Bronze and hitting core. Name a less iconic duo.
Your foe has destroyed a piece. Your core is under attack.
You still get to 20 this game. I mean, they like hitting heroes just as much as you do, right?
I'm certain.
That is the reality of you know, being in bronze, is that the enemies are also really bad. So I really hope that with all of the information that you got here today, that make these damn players suffer for not hitting minions. You already have a really good focus on a lot of the fundamentals in the game. I'm honestly, when I saw bronze, right, I expected a lot less. You did a lot better than, let's say, the average for this league. But honestly, there isn't much to look at the rest of the game. Like, you can still win here, despite all of this and all of this being in your way. There is still a very realistic chance of winning the game. Team wipe, cap Dragon Knight, push, push, push. Dragon Knight expires, this still lives. Back off. Core, enemy team, team wipe, Dragon Knight, push this in, win the game. That is your ticket to winning the game. And it is realistic, because the enemy team is bad. But when you are this far behind, you know, you're in a admittedly terrible position at this point. I just came up with the plan to win this game, right? Always try to come up with something like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to even be a good plan. But having a plan and a solution in mind is always better than, oh, we're behind, guys. You suck. Die less. It's not a great plan. Let's keep it up. Because when you have something to focus on, you also get tilted less.
I'm a firm believer in still thinking that we can win this game. Now, the Sylvanas and Valera have clearly at this point just decided that they just wanted to not play this game anymore.
At 2 minutes or something, Sylvanas made a comment which was completely useless. At this point, at the first message, I would have pressed tab, and right next to her name is a little mute chat button.
Yeah.
I use this button liberally because is this something that will help you win the game, reading this? Or
No,
is this
not
just useless distraction and you're getting demotivated because your Sylvanas isn't trying?
Yeah.
And this, there is just no point to it.
Prepare yourselves, heroes.
So turning off chat entirely or muting people that are just in chat to say negative things is also really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, shit, I muted. So you call retreat here. And your team actually backs off because you do. However, everyone is backing off except the person you pinged retreat on. Now I get why, right? Sylvanas is overstepping, etc. But a fight here, I know you don't have 20. I know we're all alive. But Falsehood is all the way in bumfuck nowhere. Greymane isn't even there yet. Brightwing is all the way over here. This is one of the best chances you have to win the game. And when you are behind in this far, especially, the problem is that you are behind in structures, right? Because if you had the same amount of structures on the map, every wave on both sides would have a catapult on it. If you at least had this, every third lane would have a catapult in it. And these catapults are adding up. They are making every single lane pushed in towards your core, and every single lane on the map now requires babysitting every minute. But that means that taking a fight now is the best you can hope for, because if they get this shrine, and then they get the Dragon Knight, which they do because they have total map control. You can't go here. There's no vision. You can't go here. There's no vision. There's a camp pushing in here. There is the enemy wave is pushed in here as well. This is the only fight you're going to get that is going to let you still win the game and get a Dragon Knight. Push in some structures. Probably not even get a keep, by the way, but some structures and come back into the game. Because if they get Dragon Knight while the map is like this, there is an extremely easy way for them to win the game, and that is for the person in Dragon Knight right-clicks core and goes to make himself a cup of soup.
Yep.
He will win the game.
Yeah.
But your retreat pings, if you actually look at your teammates' behavior, made your team stay back and back off, while Sylvanas didn't care.
Yeah.
So your pings were actually negative pings this time around.
Yeah.
Also insatiable value. But you probably still win this fight because this game still lasts 2 minutes. Or at least they... Yeah, they actually just don't do anything. Wait, they don't even count Dragon Knight, they're just... Oh, yo. Morales sold out stitches. Anyway. That's it for this replay. But yeah, I really hope that you're able to take everything I said today and use it to win these games, because I see a lot of potential in your play, and I'm already very happy where you are, and I think you can make it to plat with just focusing on waves, honestly, with your current gameplay.
Okay. Well, that's promising to hear. I appreciate all the value that you've given me, because that definitely is something that I've been, looking for as far as decision making. What else am I doing wrong? Because honestly, watching Not Paradox videos and seeing the way that most diamonds and grandmasters play, they're always saying, yes, it is a team game. However, you are the sole responsible person of, winning. And so I truly do believe that, and I appreciate, hearing the things that you had to say, because it makes me understand that, yes, I am in control of how the path of the game goes.
For sure.
One thing I did want to ask you about, because something weird happened on my account last night. I was playing a bronze match. I'm in bronze 5. I was about 274 points. I was like 3 wins away from getting out of bronze 5.
Wait, at bronze 5, 270 points, you only get like 20 points per game.
It was 65. So at the
Yes.
later end of bronze 5, you get 65 points.
Yes. So once you hit bronze 700 points, you actually drop out of bronze 5 per se, and you actually enter a league below bronze.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so what ended up happening last night, this was so weird, because I lost one game. It was a Hanamura Temple game. We had a bunch of tilted players, a bunch of people who were just not having it. And then it says I lose 14 points, but I am sitting at 670 something points to get out of bronze 5 now, which is something weird. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen it before. I've never lost so many points on a bronze game. So I was like, well, if I lose, I'm going to lose only like 60-ish points. It's fine. I can get it back. But I feel extremely disheartened, and I don't necessarily know if I should continue in Bronze 5 and try and get myself back out of it for the rest of the season. You know, the season only has a month and a week left. Or if I should just jump back in next season. Still, I want to play competitively and make it, you know, nice and fun. But
so I think you can. I think part of the issue is here. It's the perception, right? So, like you said, it's really disheartening losing that many points while you're winning, you know, absolute jack shit. But the reason for that is that Blizzard lets you drop below Bronze 5 into basically another league entirely. So basically like Iron, you know, 1 to 5. And I suspect that your MMR is currently like somewhere around Iron 3 or something, if you would call it that way. And that means that if you win a bunch of games in a row, you have basically a minimum amount of points that the game is like that it wants to give you, else, you know, you get literally no points. But your MMR isn't climbing that high because you are a little bit further below Bronze 5 than it wants to show. So as soon as you break that barrier, as soon as you win a couple of you hit around like a 60% win rate or something, after like 30-40 games, which I know it is a lot, of a 60% win rate, you will start to climb a lot faster and get 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and eventually 200 points per game. And you will finally start to see your rank actually going up instead of this hidden rank that the game can't show you because Blizzard designed it in a very dumb way.
I mean, it's interesting because I don't feel like I lost all that many points during that match, but I again, it's fine. Like I'm 100% willing to grind it out. The thing is being at the point to where I was, because I was literally on a win streak recently because I had just been taking really good picks. I had been doing fairly well. I actually had been picking Zul'jin a lot lately, and then I was picking Leoric a few times, and that those two heroes, I feel like I do a decent, I do fairly well with, and so I actually ended up climbing it a bit. The reason why I picked Zul'jin a few times over Orphea just has to do with the enemy team sometimes. Because if they pick like a Stukov, I'm clearly not gonna be able to get as many abilities off.
But I would like to iterate a little bit on that and say that if you want to make it as easy as possible on yourself to, you know, climb out of Bronze, which and especially Bronze 5, it is very nice to, you know, have multiple heroes to play, but I think that you will have the best results and find it the easiest to quote unquote carry games by playing the same hero no matter the conditions.
Okay.
At least for, you know, until you get out of Bronze 5. And I think that is also the way you will get frustrated the least. Because on a hero like Zul'jin, it is going to be a lot harder for you to focus on the waves, get the minions, and get your rotations in order. And especially because I also had a lot to say, you know, about thinking about the map, where to go, etc. If you're focusing on all those things and still having to juggle between a couple of heroes and their kits and, you know, maybe not 100% familiarity with those, even though you might, you know, like have like 100 games, that just makes it a lot harder on yourself.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. However, I do have problems in the draft sometime, and I don't want to ever like cut out a teammate.
So if I have to say a hero that is especially good if you are just really, really comfortable on them, and that you can make work in every situation. I think Orphea is a great hero for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it may sound extremely selfish, and it kind of is, but first picking Orphea every single game until they start banning it against you is not a bad idea, and I would honestly recommend you to.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I've oftentimes gone into games though where and it's funny because in bronze you see the same players rotate over and over again. I don't know if it's the same thing in the higher ranks, but oftentimes I'll like play Orphea a few games, scare a bunch of people on the enemy team because they played with me and I did fairly well, and then they'll just ban Orphea. So yeah, some of the things that I'm a little worried about, you know, going into the draft and you know working on that side of things.
So you know, if we look at my hero pool, my Orphea is like at a 70% win rate over 200 games. But she is not what I would say like my ultra comfort, right? So I have like these 100 level heroes. But if I'm pushed onto an uncomfortable hero style, right? So like I don't get my my hero, in your case the Orphea, I would recommend you to play someone that can at least play somewhat similarly. And I already heard you mention Leoric, and it may seem very weird, but Leoric and Orphea can play pretty similarly.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. In fact, I feel like one of the very few people that I feel like I'm one of the very few people that pick the kit that I pick for Leoric, but I'm pretty much all macro Leoric until March of the Black King.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll pick March of the Black King.
But yeah, other than that, I think that I really have confidence that you're gonna climb out of bronze, and
I appreciate that.
I want you to be confident in yourself that you will.
Yeah, well, I'm confident in the fact that I can. I feel like I really needed this coaching in order to hear the tips and see the mistakes that a seasoned player would see, and not that I would see.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
But I'm gonna end the coaching session and thus the recording here.